Welcome to all of you gathering with us for another Word from Stillwood, our home here in the Smokies. Many of you may be new to these videos as a result of the amazing response to the New York Times feature about hermits and solitaries on November 29th. We are delighted to greet you during this holiday season.
For many of us, this year's holidays will not be the wholly joyous or even frenetic experience we remember from years past. Some of us will be missing members of our family or several close friends whom COVID has claimed this past year. We might find ourselves with no festivities or even religious ceremonies to attend due to the restrictions imposed by the pandemic. Grief, loneliness, and exhaustion may be the holiday guests visiting our hearts and our homes this year.
Of course, we can try to lift our spirits by putting up decorations and stringing lights around the house, inside and out, trying to shine a beacon of hope to our neighbors. But we'll still find our own hearts weary and sad. Even festive music and familiar carols can scrape against our aching souls, which feel fragile and overwrought. A voice deep inside may simply say, "This is too much, just too much."
Well, Karen and I would like to encourage you not to ignore these words of wisdom rising from your inner soul. The loss of the usual commercial Christmas may just be the very thing we need to hear a deeper truth, to listen carefully to a voice summoning us to a holy silence. Instead of more, we need less of the outer hustle and bustle, and more of a quiet, sacred space where stillness can lay a kindly hand upon our restless spirits. After all, just what is the reason for the season, as my coffee mug successfully puts it?
Some of you have written to us not about the distress of having to celebrate without family close at hand, but as someone who has no family at all. One person told us, "Even in the before times, I was alone most of the time. It feels like a judgment against me, a statement that no one wants to be with me. Such a sentiment breaks my heart, for as if loneliness were a punishment for being unworthy of another's care or affection."
We believe otherwise, and so do many of our viewers, one of whom wrote to us this: "This year, Advent comes in stillness, like a woman quietly listening to her own body as birth approaches. A lot of us are a bit out of pocket, and certainly solitary, and looking forward to a Christmas without presents or festivities. It gives us a chance, and as solitaries we have some practice at this, to look forward in that rich, pregnant silence, and in the simple poverty of St. Francis, to the birth of the light. Profound words.
One of the gifts that living alone offers us is a greater control of the space around us. Being alone for the holidays does not have to feel like a punishment, that we are somehow unworthy or unloved, but rather it can be a very special grace, enabling us to become more deeply aware of the true gifts of this holy time. We are being given an opportunity to hear the great silence, the one that hovered over shepherds tending sheep before the angels sang, and magi watching a tranquil night sky before they spied the guiding star. The very same silence that brooded over the deep at the great beginning over 13 billion years ago.
Karen, in my earliest years in the seminary, there was what we called grand silence every night from 8 p.m. in the evening until 8 a.m. the next morning. But if I'm right, you experienced what you called a great silence as well every night during all your years in the monastery. What was that like for you?
I always felt a curious relief, as if I didn't need now to put up a barrier between the thoughts of my heart and so many useless noises that no longer interested me. One of the sweetest periods of great silence each year was on Christmas Eve. All the nuns had retired after night prayer, but remained partially dressed, knowing that before midnight we would hear bells echoing in the hallways, calling us to chapel for midnight mass. As each doorway opened, another voice would join the chorus, singing, "O come, let us adore him." When we entered the candle-lit chapel, our voices echoed even more harmoniously around us. Our long habits brushed the newly waxed floor as we knelt around the stable by the altar, and we watched as Reverend Mother placed an image of the Holy Child upon a bed of straw.
Such a simple but moving ceremony that seems to have left you with a powerful memory of a sacred experience. Just visualizing this, I'm reminded again that a sacred space is often a very spare and uncluttered place, one that doesn't distract us from the sacredness that fills all the world around us, if we really look and really listen. It's often a matter of being mindful, being fully present in the moment, every one of which is holy. Actually, one of the most profound descriptions of prayer that I've ever heard came from Thich Nhat Hanh, the renowned Buddhist master, as that blessed moment when our bodies, our minds, and our hearts are all in the same place at the same time.
Yes, for then we are whole and holy. It can take years of devoted practice to realize this level of awareness, but we are often given a sweet taste of it along the way. We prepare for it by choosing silence and seeking sacred space as opportunity allows us.
In recent videos, we have shared some sacred songs with you that moved our hearts. But given our focus right now on silence, we thought it better to share with you this poem. We just received it from dear friends in Israel. The title is, "Do Not Fear, It Is I." Take a listen. Hear and see storms, storms of water, storms of fire, clamors of war, streams of refugees, threatening thunderclouds everywhere. And suddenly, the world storm, Corona, plows through the waters of our lives. Storms in the government offices, storms at work, storms in school, and in the family. Confusion everywhere. The waves swamp the boat of our life, our nations, our faith too. Where are you, God? Don't you see the ghost walking on the water? We are afraid. Will we drown? Rest assured, it is I. Don't be afraid. I come to you on the waves. To all of you, I am the Lord in the world storm. Come and walk holding my hand over the waves. I will lead you through the plight and the suffering of your times in the boat of my peace. Don't be afraid.
Our thanks to Ruse Rumlot, who authored this poem and shared it in the Advent letter from the Brotherhood of Jesus in Latran, Israel. And now, aware that you, our viewers, come from many different traditions and varieties of spiritual practice, we take this opportunity to say that while many of us during this season recall the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, we are actually celebrating the Word made flesh, the Christ, Emmanuel, God with us, in whom we all live and move and have our very being. The whole of creation is permeated with the divine presence, loving us all into the fullness of life. Now we extend our best wishes and prayers to each of you, our viewers, who have found your way into our hearts. Let us be the survivors of 2020 and the guides for 2021.